So, we need to talk about Wuthering Heights. Yesterday was Valentine's Eve, and my girlfriend says, "Oh, I want to go see this movie." Mind you, the last time I really heard about Wuthering Heights, I was in high school, and I had just read Jane Eyre, which is one of her, Emily Bronte's sister's books, which ends up being like sort of a tense romance novel between classes. Okay, well, let me tell you right now, this movie was described as an erotic, contemporary, demented take on the book. And I'll tell you, they got one part of that correct for sure. Demented. And I will probably never ever watch this movie again, and here's why. Alright, first off though, on a positive note, the acting and the set design and the sound design, absolutely phenomenal. Sound design either makes you feel like you're a child, like longing for love in the very beginning of the movie, to the rest of the time making you feel tension that is so uncomfortable that you do not want, you want to crawl out of your own skin and leave the theater. The set design, listen, from the very moment you see Wuthering Heights, it is uncomfortable. It might as well have been built out of human bone. The facade of it just feels rigid and cold and unnatural. I don't know how to explain it any other ways than that. And the mansion that Catherine ends up moving to, right, spoiler alert, might as well been made of human meat. In fact, there's one scene where her bedroom is literally painted to look like the skin on her face. I get it, right? It does its job. It's meant to make you feel uncomfortable. And to the level at which it's kind of like H.P. Lovecraft, the guy who created the whole Cthulhu story, the Lovecraftian horror, eldritch horror. Tim Burton and Wes Anderson had a love child out of spite with each other, and this is what it produced. It was absolutely bonkers, right? And I remember saying sometimes I say this in a good way, like it feels like you've been watching a movie for an hour, but you haven't, and like it just feels like this entire immersive experience. No, it was so tense, I'm pretty sure like an hour of 30 minutes the way through, I felt like I've been watching it for an hour and 45 minutes. I think that's the intent, right? It's supposed to be long, drawn-out misery for at least one or more of the characters. Perfectly executed. Hated every bit of it, but in a good way. I would not have not believed that any of these people were not the parts they played in real life.
I would not have not believed that any of these people were not the parts they played in real life.
As far as Margot, Robbie, and Jacob Elordi, and the guy who played the dad, and everybody else, perfectly casted, perfectly executed, diabolical people at certain points. Other than Mr. whatever his name is, the rich lord who Catherine ends up marrying, right? He is a saint and did not deserve any of the crap he went through, at least as far as I know from watching the movie, because I haven't read the book in so long, I can't remember how well this aligns with it, right? Dude, I have never been made so uncomfortable by sexual scenes in movies in my life. There were 2 times that could have been nice, right? You could have felt a little flare up in your soul. You could have been like, oh, this is hot, right? The rest of the other times made unsexualized sex. Like it made it distasteful looking. It made it look like something I don't want to touch. I don't want to be a part of this, because the way they directed it made it feel wrong. Like a little bit of spoiler for the very first scene of the movie, right? If you don't want to know this, skip forward now. But you think you're introduced to an uncomfortable sex scene at the very beginning. Like you hear it, sounds like a bed squeaking, right? Not. It's a dude dangling by his neck, and everybody in the town square looking at him. Like it goes from black screen with sounds, making you think this, to that. And people are looking at him and be like, oh, look at him. He's got there's wood. You know what I mean? It might as well be a forest there. In the guy's pants. And immediately that just kind of shifts the tone of the movie to like anything sexual is uncomfortable. I don't want this. I don't want to be a part of this. which again mirrors that, for the most part, I think what Catherine was going through for most of her life. She does not want to be a part of it. And even when she did start wanting to be a part of it, it was so wrong and immoral that you couldn't empathize with the feelings. Which I think is meant to show how detached from reality two of the characters really were at that point, and then some more of them get severely detached from reality and start acting absolutely insane, but that's a different story. I'll let you figure that out for yourself. Look, Emerald Fennell created Saltburn. Saltburn was a masterpiece and very uncomfortable. In a way, I would say this movie was worse than Saltburn as far as the effect that it has on you emotionally, right? Because Saltburn somehow felt like from the beginning that something was wrong, and it was meant to be wrong, and you were going to find that out. With Wuthering Heights, it is supposed to be, in your mind, a romance with, maybe two people that loved each other, and one moves on and the other doesn't, and then neither of them do, and then they come back together after time when they should have separated from each other, and the past is in the past, but they make a mistake out of passion. Right? Wrong. Right? It is all that, but so much more that messes with your head and your heart in ways that you can't comprehend until it's kind of over, and still then you're like, what was this mess that I just watched? What was I just a part of? I will recommend to people, if you're not ready for this sort of thing, don't watch. But that's because it's so good at what it is supposed to do. Emerald is a genius. These actors are geniuses. The set design and sound design people are geniuses. And they created an atmosphere that is just unholy in a way, and you can feel it. Like, I hate to say that, but it's like, it literally feels unholy. Like you're in unhallowed ground, in a place where something is watching you, and you know it, but you can't see what's watching you. It was dark and twisted and amazing. We'll never watch it again. And I'm sure there's more to this whole thing about how I feel about it, but pretty much that's my opinion on Wuthering Heights in less than 8 minutes. Crazy.